Good morning. Casey Thren here, Complete Deer Management LLC, landscaping for whitetails, the Deer Wizard. Spring planting season is here. Stay tuned. If this is the first time here, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, good or bad. I do not care. It all helps. Stay tuned, be right back. Okay, now if you've watched a lot of my videos over the past 10 years, you have heard me preach, I don't plant spring food plots unless it's soybeans or sorghum or if we're establishing a new plot. Well, trying to teach an old dog new tricks, and it is the best way. I've come to realize the whole time, this whole 10 years or 15 years I've been doing this, I've always struggled with not necessarily change, but how to explain change. Because every property is different, every plot is different, every tree is different, all deer are different. And they're constantly changing, and they're constantly developing and evolving, and so is the habitat. You can't predict the weather. The weather is always changing. It's always doing something different. Here we are. May 15th, 2023. Just a beautiful 70-degree day. We've had 90-degree days already. But we deal with what we can deal with. We can't predict, we can't control the weather. We can only control the things we have in front of us. That brings me to spring 2023. And I have actually been almost begging some of my food plot clients to do some sort of spring plots. And up until now, recently, I haven't had really a good program for them. It was usually corn or soybeans or buckwheat, and I finally got a new program for them. You need to go follow Dr. Grant Woods. It's called Growing Deer TV, and he has been pushing this. I have also read into it. I've called the company that he's working with about a spring food plot blend. That's called, they call theirs green cover. I've made my own blend, and I have talked to some of my clients here in Central Michigan. I believe I have some of the most challenging food plot in America. I'll challenge anybody. Further north of here is probably even worse. The soils are sandy. The weather is completely unpredictable. We're right in between two great big lakes. So this 60-mile radius of Central Michigan is very challenging. Do I get pretty good food plots? Yep. We also have a lot of deer. High deer numbers in some spots. Most of the time, they eat it right off. This is where food plot cage was. This is last year's rye planting. Last fall's rye planting. And this is usually what I do. And then come in July, a couple months from now, I would come in and mow it, brush hog it. Usually has matured by then. It's usually knee high or higher. You can see the deer have been browsing on it fairly good. And then I'll spray it with glyphosate, and then I'll come back a couple weeks later, and then I'll replant the same thing. Well, this year, and every property is different. That I have about 20 to 25 different properties, between 50 and 60 acres total. Everyone's different. I've been planting some for 10 years, for 5 years. This is the second year on this one particular. So for this particular plot, you can see the sand, or the soils are quite light, pretty sandy. It grew a pretty good plot. The pH was good. I didn't have to add any lime to it last year. All I added was some salt-based fertilizer. This year I am adding organic-based fertilizer of Dairy Dew, Morgan's compost. I'm sure you've heard me, if you watch videos, you've heard me talk about that. You can go to the playlists and go to some of the food plot playlists and look at some of the plots I've done with the organic fertilizer. I'm trying to add more biology to the soil. all the micronutrients, and I'm trying to keep the soil covered up. That's what my goal is. And the new food plot seed blend is, what do I have? There's some sun hemp, there's some soybeans, there's some cowpeas, there's some radish, some buckwheat, and is that it? 5 or 6? That might be it. Have to come back. Maybe I got something wrong in there. But there's 5 or 6 different plants. And those plants, when planted now, they should be high-browse plants. They'll also add nutrients to the soil with an inoculant. I'm using an inoculant. So you got to stay tuned when I start planting here next week or next video. You have to stay tuned and how I'm going to be do this, and then I will be coming back in a couple months, but I probably won't be spraying then. I'll probably just be planting right in what I'm planting now. So this is a process and just getting started. I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to hold more moisture. It's going to feed the deer, and it's going to try to reduce fertilizer and try to reduce spraying or eliminate it altogether. Hopefully in 2 to 3, 5 years, I'm not fertilizing hardly at all. That's my goal. So today I got some glyphosate spray. I'm gonna probably just do a quick spray because I'm just, again, starting this program off, and I want to start on the right foot. I'll be back with some organic fertilizer probably next week, I'm thinking. And then I have some switchgrass to plant here on a different plot, and then I'll be ready to plant the new Super Browse mix, spring mix, here in the next 2 weeks. If you watched the episode on soil temperatures, this is a blend. This is a seed blend that needs 60-degree weather to grow. This morning here in Michigan, May 15th, we had a very hard frost. And I talked about this between farmers and food plotters, the differences. Food plotters can't take that many risks when doing this stuff. We want it to work. I come out here and plant this last week, let's say. Well, for one thing, there isn't no rain, and there actually is rain in sight. They're calling for some in 5 or 6 days, something like that. But farmers can take a bigger chance with bigger food, with bigger fields and stuff like that. So you got to be careful. But this food plot blend is a warm season legumes, and can't wait to get planted. I want to change the color of this soil from being light sandy to darker loamy with a nice thick sod base and more biology in it. And the biology, we're going to pull soil tests. We're going to take them to Morgan's, and the soil agronomists are going to put them under the microscope and look at how much biology, all the microscopic biology that is in it. And then we'll do the same thing about a year from now, and we'll compare the microscopic biology to that, to this. Got to remember that this program is going to benefit all of wildlife that eats on these plots, but it's also going to add lots of critters, lots of microbes, nematodes, you name it, into the soil, and we'll be able to keep nitrogen in there, keep potash, keep phosphorus in there, and have all of those plants be talking to each other. Cowpeas produces a lot of nitrogen. And then when I come back in the fall and plant a high nitrogen plant like rye or brassicas, I won't have to, the nitrogen's already there. When you use regular salt-based bagged fertilizer, a lot of times you put that down, and if it don't rain or you don't get it covered up, that whole bag of nitrogen fertilizer is just going to evaporate up into the air. Okay, I keep remembering stuff to say, and I apologize. I am working on my... don't even know how to say this. Working on my... Okay, I just remembered something else I should have been stating, and I apologize for not being the best communicator. And I've been trying to really work hard on being a better communicator. And a lot of guys have a leg up on me when it comes to the right words to say and how to say it and how to explain things. And my brain just doesn't work that way. I am a worker. I like to get my hands dirty and go. And I always don't have to explain it very well. So, anyway, this is a good candidate to just... One of your questions may be, why didn't you just plant it right in this? And that's a great idea. And if I was planting today, I would have done that. Maybe. That's the thing, is it's a good candidate to do that because there is a lot of dirt showing. There's over about 50% dirt showing. But if I would not have sprayed it today, and I come back in a week or two, because I still have to put fertilizer on this. I'm still working this program. The plants would have been higher and even harder, maybe harder to get through. My problem right now is my planter. It's not a true no-till planter, and a lot of the like Dr. Grant Woods that are doing this, they are doing true no-till planting with a very heavy planter, with true cutting coulters that cut the soil and then lay the seed right into the ground, right where it's supposed to be, with tubes, and then it covers it back up, pinches the seed back down, and they get a good 2 to 3 inch seed set. And where my planter is a precision drop, and it's got discs that go in the ground, but if rain is not coming through quick, it drops the right amount. It just is a precision drop spreader. So that is some of my challenges. And everyday food plotters on your own land, you're going to have a similar setup to mine or less. And I want to be able to make sure you guys can do this on your property with a four-wheeler, with a broadcast spreader, a cultipacker, or your UTV. So you don't need necessarily a tractor, and you don't need all this stuff that this thing is kind of requiring. So this will be a process, and I'm going to get it fine-tuned. I've talked for 3 minutes, and I'm going to end it here. Thanks for watching. I'm going to pump these videos even faster than I did before because if I have a lot to say. So watch for these videos coming a lot. Go back in the archives on the playlists and catch back up. Thanks for watching. I got affiliates. Did you go in the description and you click on those affiliate links to go shopping for things that I use? I think I earn a 5 or 6% commission on anything that you buy. But I really appreciate it. God bless you, God bless our troops, God bless the USA, still the greatest nation in the world. Once again, forgot to tell you that a step I'm eliminating this year with these plots is cultivating. Last year I had to cultivate and work these plots up. This year, I would rather spray than cultivate. I will not have to cultivate all year. I shouldn't have to. I will spray instead, and I will also spray with glyphosate humic acid. Humic acid puts a lot of microbiology into the soil as a soil conditioner and adds all those things you can't explain into the soil to help those seeds talk to each other back and forth and say, here's a nutrient, give me some nitrogen. Okay, here's some nitrogen. I'll give you this back. And they talk back and forth, and that's the whole premise of this program.